14 talks about fair lending and consumer protection. And we talked a little bit earlier, in particular, about the Dodd-Frank Act. That was a piece of legislation that was introduced in 2008, and I think implemented in 2008, or it might have been 2009, where it introduced laws that where lenders had to comply and follow guidelines as to not practice predatory lending. Some examples that we saw that I've seen in my career are interest rates that were not quoted correctly. In other words, the buyer was quoted an interest rate maybe at the time of loan application or pre-qualification, and then we get to closing and the interest rate is not the same. This rule also talks about, some of these rules talk about disclosures. How much is this mortgage going to cost over a 30-year time period? What is the annual percentage rate? What is the effective interest rate? There was also some rules that were put into place that prevented lenders from disclosing information about buyers to third parties, excuse me, about their marital status, age discrimination, things of that nature. On page 493, the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act was implemented in 1975. You can read about that. The Fair Housing Act applies to not only lenders but to real estate practitioners, and it was enacted in 1968. It's been added on to over the years. The HIV or AIDS became a protected class, so y'all can kind of read through that. Basically, the biggest change in the last 4 or 5 years was disclosures. And when a purchaser makes loan application, the lender has to provide that purchaser what's called a good faith estimate, or a list of sales expenses that a buyer might expect to pay at closing. There are items on the disclosure that cannot vary more than a certain amount. And on page 503, 502, 503 is an example of a good faith estimate. And even though I said earlier this is a national book, the forms that you're looking at are government forms. So they're going to be the same whether you buy a house in Texas or whether you buy a house in Georgia or wherever. These forms are federal government forms. All the lenders that are doing mortgage loans have to use these. On page 504, there are, in 505, there are detailed information about the disclosures and about the fees that can vary at closing and fees that cannot vary at closing. Y'all can look. I've uploaded a settlement statement, a HUD-1 settlement statement for Chapter 12 under your Files tab on Canvas, so y'all can look at this. It's a current one. Mine actually has numbers filled in it. It was actually from a closing from a few weeks ago. Some examples of predatory lending practices are on page 511. There will be some of those on your final exam. Y'all can kind of read through those, and it gives really good definitions of of different examples of predatory lending. Anyway, read through the rest of the chapter, look at the chapter outline, and do your chapter quiz, and you should be fine. So anyway, that it will be the end of the videos. So chapter 14 is our last chapter. Our finals coming up here in 10 days or so. This will give you plenty of time to review back some of your chapters, go back through some of the videos. I know they're not real lengthy because I can't put really long videos on YouTube. It just won't let me. So, but if you have a question or a concern, please give me a call, email me. I'm available to help you in this. So anyway, thank you.